perfect. So I'm happy to introduce you to Dr. Saxena. He's an assistant professor in the Department of Environmental Science at Hindu College, University of Delhi, and serves on the Scientific Steering Committee of ELIPS UK and GEA part of IGAC. She holds a PhD in environmental studies, focusing on photochemical air pollutants, and completed her postdoctoral research at the Physical Research Laboratory in Ahmedabad. With 14 years of experience, her research interests include air pollution, aerosol chemistry, and phytoremediation. Recently, she was selected as a lead author for the UNEP's air pollution reports and serves on several editorial boards, including Science Advances. Dr. Saxena has received multiple awards, including the Women Scientist Award and a gold medal from the Global Sustainability Framework Network. She has published over 35 papers and contributed to various international meetings on climate change and biodiversity, actively promoting sustainability and nature-based solutions. So today, Dr. Saxena was going to be talking to us on urban green spaces for climate change mitigation. So Dr. Saxena, please.
Very good morning to all of you. I'm Dr. Pallavi Saxena, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity from the Green Institute to talk about my work about urban green spaces and climate change mitigation. So urban green spaces is one of the lead area in the green infrastructures and the nature-based solutions. So in my talk, I will be talking about an overview about the green infrastructure, the urban green spaces, the green infrastructures, the green roofs, the green buildings, and also my research work that is being right now being initiated in India a few months ago, and that is on how we can use the United States forest models and simulate in the Indian environment, and how can we use for urban green spaces in Delhi NCR, and how we can use these urban green spaces for climate change mitigation. Due to high urbanization and industrialization for the past decades, the economic growth has largely been increased. However, its growth has become largely at the cost of the environment. So because of that, the natural ecosystems are at the stake, and problems like climate change, air pollution, disturbance to nutrient cycling, frequent occurrence of natural hazards are increasing at an alarming rate. And if we are not able to overcome from these environmental issues, then in the later run, it will lead to some reduction in the basic amenities like people without access to sanitation, people without electricity, people without safe, clean drinking water, increase in vector-borne diseases, and even there is a sharp rise in the pandemic diseases, etc. So therefore, there's an urgent need for the green growth strategies or solutions which can rehabilitate the environmental conditions and provide a healthy environment to live and sustain. So for this, the urban green spaces has come into the system that provides the critical ecosystem services for the healthy human well-being, like air quality improvement, air pollution removal, noise reduction, microclimate regulation, urban urban heat island mitigation, and biodiversity conservation. So there is a cost-effective way that how we can use the greenery, and how the greenery means the vegetation in different forms, like the planting of trees, like the green roofs, how they can help in the reduction of urban heat island effect. Because in a city in which I am living, that is Delhi, which is one of the most polluted cities in the world and in the top 10 cities in terms of air pollution. And also there is a problem of climate change. So greenery can be a cost-effective solution for such cities for the reduction of urban heat island effect. So green spaces on infrastructure acts to cool urban environment through various mechanisms: evapotranspiration, shade provision, and increased albedo, the combination of which reduces the thermal load on built environment. And depending upon the density of their canopies, the plants are able to intercept 70 to 90% of incoming solar radiation, and still reaching 50% for deciduous trees when it comes to the winter season, because mostly in the tropical countries like India, the deciduous trees shed their leaves during the winter season. Hence, it has been reduced to 50%. So this reduction in both shortwave and longwave radiation substantially cools urban surfaces and in turn reduces the mean air temperature of the surroundings. And the shades from green infrastructure can also lower energy requirements for cooling, reducing anthropogenic heat sources, and potentially reducing energy savings by 20 to 80%. So the presence of the greenery can further enhance the albedo of highly urbanized environments. For example, the albedo of built-up areas varies from zero point 0.1 to zero point 0.2, whereas the albedo of plants can reach up to 0.3. So raising the albedo increases the proportion of incoming radiation, and that is reflected, thus decreasing the component that is being absorbed, and therefore able to increase the surface temperatures. On the other hand, in the urban areas, there are several buildings, and like in Delhi, there are very less land area. So to mitigate the climate change, there is another option of the green buildings. So if we have the greenery, like the green roofs, like the green walls in the building, then they act to cool by modifying the evapotranspiration, shade provision, and albedo, but reduces heat transmission into the building envelope by enhancing thermal insulation. So on an average, it is estimated that the green roofs can reduce peak air temperature by an average of approximately 3 degrees Celsius and peak surface temperatures by an average of approximately 17 degrees Celsius. And similarly, if we talk about the green walls, then they are able to reduce the peak air temperatures by an average of approximately 3 degrees Celsius and peak surface temperature by an average of approximately 16 degrees Celsius. So now the question comes that on the basis of what criteria or what should be the design of the green buildings, how we can select the plants, how we can select the urban green infrastructures for urban green spaces, for green roofs, and for green walls. So first we have to prioritize the neighborhoods, and then we have to characterize it to identify the existing UGI. Then we have to maximize the cooling of existing UGI with the help of irrigation methods. And then we can prioritize the streets based on the exposure, based upon their canopy, and based upon their leaf area index. Then we can identify the specific urban green infrastructure for locations within the street. So at the city scale, the improvement of greenery type for existing parks take priorities. And while the installation of new green parks, cooling intensity and cooling effect distance should be quantified using urban spatial modeling tools. Apart from that, the urban green roofs and the urban blue-green infrastructure also has an interlinking with different SDGs like SDG 11, SDG 13, 12, and 6, because they help in disaster risk reduction in case of floods. They can provide a number of ecosystem services like groundwater recharge, carbon stock in biodiversity conservation, and for healthy living being. So there are various proposed strategies if we want to implement the green infrastructures in urban or industrial areas. Like we can implement the green corridors and the spaces like by linking trees, parks, green areas, river valleys, wetlands, and vegetated pedestrians walkways, which can help in building resilience and mitigate flood, drought, heat, and climate change. Then we can green above the core urban area. So we can select those trees with which can tolerate well and which can accumulate well the different air pollutants and have high carbon sequestration potential. Then we can green the industrial and the building zones that need to be planned for sustainable urban drainage, sustainable and efficient transport, rainwater collection, and reduced energy demands. Then we can green the residential areas by implementing the green space networks, which improve property value and reduce the effects of climate change through natural drainage, renewable energy source, etc. Then we can establish the green community centers with green roofs and walls, solar heating and shade, and passive design cooling systems and rainwater collection. Then we can greening of the towns on the rivers and on the coast so as to provide the shelter belts against the disaster and can be an effective tool in the disaster risk reduction and climate change mitigation. Apart from that, we can have the networks of connected urban parks. We can expand the allotments, small holdings, and orchards. We can establish the sustainable drainage system and the greening and rehabilitating the urban catchments and uplands. So with the help of the green roofs and with the help of the green infrastructure, we can aim for the sustainable cities, that is for the SDG 11. So we can promote sound urban planning, invest in renewable energy, and protect the cities so as to provide the different ecosystem services like cultural services, provisional services, and regulating services. So this is my recent project that has been going on in collaboration with the United States Forest Service. And we are identifying the different urban green spaces in Delhi as well as the adjoining areas of Delhi NCR like Greater Noida, Ghaziabad. So we have started with some of the heritage sites, some of the heritage urban parks in Delhi. So this is the map which has been showing one of the urban park in South Delhi. And there we are using the United States forest model, the I-tree model. So with the help of the I-tree model, we are able to evaluate the carbon sequestration, the amount of the particulate matter removal from that urban green space, the amount of air pollutants that are being removed by an urban green space, like how much amount of NO2 is being removed, how much amount of SO2 is being removed. So our objective is to assess and identify the urban green spaces in northern India. And we have started with the Delhi NCR to determine their potential for climate change mitigation and air pollution reduction. Then we can quantify the potential of key tree species, that what are the different key tree species which need to be planted in Delhi for carbon sequestration and pollution removal, particularly the pollutants like particulate matter, nitrogen dioxide, and other pollutants. Then we should also plant those trees and those shrubs and herbs which can provide the maximum ecosystem services and can have the sustainability potential in air purification, temperature regulation, and stormwater management. So in that urban green space that is in South Delhi, these are the different trees. And we have estimated the annual gross carbon sequestration in the Deer Park of Delhi NCR. And we have found that one of the tree, that is Azaratica indica, has the highest carbon sequestration potential as compared to the other native tree species. So if we able to plant this type of tree, which is right now a number of them in the Delhi NCR, then we are able to sequester more carbon and can aim for the climate change mitigation. Moreover, there is another graph which has been showing that this particular green space can mitigate uh, the removal of NO2, CO, O3, PM10, PM2.5, and SO2 from these green space. And it has been mitigated approximately 30 to 40% of the PM2.5, PM10, and the other air pollutants. Then with the help of this green space, these plants are able to mitigate the stormwater mitigation also. So right now, these are the very embryonic results. These are very initial results of our one of the site. And we are working on this in this area, and we are working on the other sites in Delhi. Approximately, we are having 25 sites in Delhi. So this is the result from our first site. And we are in the stage of writing the publication. So we are expecting the outcomes from this research project, that we can suggest the improved green infrastructure for climate action and pollution mitigation. We can come out with an urban green space inventory for Delhi as well as for Northern India. And this can enhance the collaboration between the scientific person and also with the policymakers. So this is my collaborative group of University of Delhi, Hindu College, and also United States Forest Service. My special thanks to the Assistant Director of Asia Pacific International Program, USDA, and to my students. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I am happy to take up the questions.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Dr. Saxena, for that insightful talk. It's very interesting to see that Azadarica indica is able to sequestrate more carbon than all other trees. So I was wondering if this finding is probably like peculiar to India, or probably it could also be the same for other countries. Because I know for sure that when you plant trees, the soil facility is different, composition is different from one country to the other, and coupled with the fact that even the weather condition also affects the way these plants and trees, the way they grow, right? So do you think it's probably going to be the same for other countries?
Thank you very much for a very good question. So this is this is actually one of the question that comes from the reviewer team while we have communicated it for the publication. So in Delhi NCR, yes, I agreed that this is particularly for the tropical climates, but this model can simulate for the other urban environments also. And those cities or those countries which are having the climate that is very similar to the Delhi and very similar to India, so it can replicate with it. And also, if we use this model, there are various models in I tree Eco model, I tree Canopy model, I tree sequestration model. So these models can be used with the simulation to the other countries also. So we can simulate well according to the different geographical conditions and also with the different climatic conditions. And we can use it certainly.
Oh, thank you very much. So it appears that the participants are much more interested to know more about this I-tree model. So there are a couple of questions in the Q&A as well. So if you have the time, you can always go through them and
Yes,
answer the
sure. I
participants. So
will
thank you
answer.
very much. Thank you very much for the
Thank you.
presentation.